Hey folks, welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Again, a lot of great comments from part one, just great information. Again, a big shout out to Zeus Revelations, whoever you are, you're doing an amazing job. I'm not sure where you're getting all this information, but it's just awesome. So let's get into it today. The Orsini crime family. Now, I believe the Orsini crime family is one of the 13 satanic old Italian bloodlines that Fritz Springmeier writes about in his book titled the same. The Orsini family of Rome, the Orsini-Rosenberg family of Austria, and the Rosenberg family of Bohemia control Rosicrucianism, which is the secret society of alchemists. These families all use the rose on their coat of arms. The Rosicrucian order is also called the Order of the Rosy Cross. Alchemy is the manipulation of the human psyche and biology through chemicals. Now, we're going to get into the Kabbalah and the alchemy here, but I just want to really point out that this can be used for good and it can be used for evil. It's just there in the powers of the spirit world, and the evil side has been practicing this for a long period of time, but alchemy and then the Kabbalah can also be used for good. All right, so the FDA and most food and drug companies are controlled by the Rosicrucians. The Orsini family were behind the Ebola propaganda and developed the deadly Ebola vaccines. You remember that back in 2014, I believe. The creator of the Georgia Guidestones, which aimed to regulate the population of humanity, used the name R.C. Christian as an alias, who was really Robert C. Cook, an American geneticist involved in population control and eugenics. Now, I actually went to the Georgia Guidestones, looked at them for myself, and I came away with very much deeper understanding that there's serious intention behind these stone granites that in Elberton County, just about 2.5 hours north of Atlanta. And someone had serious intention, put up tens of millions of dollars to put this up back in 1991, with the first calling for a reduction in population of the human population by some 96%. RCC, like Roman Catholic Church and like Rosy Cross, the Rosicrucians made a YouTube video placing a time cube with MM and 16 on it. MM for 2016 together meant 2016. They intended to unleash a fake outbreak in 2016 to bring down the United States and destroy society with their deadly vaccines. The depictions shown on the Ebola virus under a microscope look like two 8s. 8 plus 8 equals 16. The Japanese movie called Virus used a virus called MM88 designed by an American eugenicist. Once this was all exposed, the Ebola propaganda ended within a week. They are behind the Zika virus rollout too. So this is how alternative media, the ones that are working for the good and trying to expose the dark side, can have an effect on what they're doing. We just don't know how. Vaccines are one of the most destructive tools the wicked use on humanity, and primarily designed to target the nervous system and to weaken a person's spiritual armor or electromagnetic shield. The Orsini and Rosenberg families were also responsible for the Black Plague. They hired people to poison well water in order to spread the disease. The song Ring O' Roses goes back to the times of the Black Plague. I believe this was back in 1919, something like that. They used rose petals to mask the smell of death. I also found two people with the name Rosenberg that work in high-level positions at Bayer, Bayer Drug Company he's referring to, and Bayer just merged with Monsanto. Talk about pharmacology from hell. So if you notice, V for Vendetta movie was a Jesuit plot carried out by Guy Fawkes. V for Vendetta was a Jesuit movie to overthrow the British Empire, and you'll remember the red rose was used for death. The Colonna family of Rome worked closely with the Orsini family and are also involved with pharmaceuticals. Stefano Colonna developed the Julia Colonna X epoxidation, which is used by Bayer and Evonik today. The Julia Colonna X epoxidation is used for binding toxic chemicals with human enzymes. Okay. Now, this is the Jesuit oath. This is their fourth vow. If you want to read this, please go ahead and read this. Hit pause button. It just makes me sick to read it. But this is who we're up against, folks. As long as the Pope or whoever tells them to do something, the Jesuits will carry out their orders. They are beholden strictly to the Jesuits, the Vicar, the Pope, and those that rule above him. So the Society of Jesus is also called the Jesuits, function as a Roman intelligence for the Italian nobility. The Jesuits are a military order established under the papal bull called Regimini Militis Ecclesiae, which means the military regiment of the church. The head of the Jesuits is called the superior general. The official definition of a Jesuit is one of intrigue, equivocation, or equivocation. Intrigue means trickery, and equivocation means to lie. Jesuits are trained in deception and are entangled with everything in society. Now to note here, Donald Trump went to Jesuit school. Bill Clinton went to Georgetown School. Governor of California, Jerry Brown, he was a Jesuit minister. Gavin Newsom, the Lieutenant General of California, former mayor of San Francisco, he went to Jesuit school at Santa Clara University. That's who runs the show, folks. Pence, Roman Catholic, Vice President. Joseph Biden, Roman Catholic, right next to Obama. Obama's entire intelligence team were Jesuits. I'll put the list in the show notes so you can see the extensive of how far this goes. The Society of Jesus was involved with the genocide of the Native Americans. One example was the Jesuit priest Pierre-Jean de Smet, who infiltrated the Iroquois. He requested black robes for the natives which were carrying diseases as a form of biological warfare. He provided intelligence on them which was used in massacres, all while pretending to be their ally. This is how they worked. This is how they worked forever. The Jesuit photographer Francis Brown was on the Titanic and managed to get off before it sank. The Titanic was switched with its damaged twin sister ship, the Olympic, which was intentionally sunk as an insurance fraud. Now here I want to go on that it wasn't just an insurance fraud. It was to get the, I believe, Astor, and there were two others, very rich, wealthy men who did not want a private Federal Reserve Bank created in 1913. So they were on the ship and they went down, and that's how the Federal Reserve was able to be created. But I don't know why Zeus didn't include that in here. The Jesuits were previously banished from Japan, were in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb, quote, atomic bomb, was dropped. Pedro Arrupe, along with 7 other Jesuits, were within miles of the nuclear blast zone in Hiroshima, and all survived untouched. Jesuit Pedro Arrupe is in video testifying about Hiroshima before he was later made the Superior General of the Jesuit Order. The Allies actually strategically firebombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima and claimed they were nuclear bombs as a form of intimidation. And here's just a quick, I'll conclude in the blog notes, difference between Chernobyl, where they're building containment centers, and Japan, where today in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, they're riding bikes. There's no escalation of radiation, folks. There's no cancer rates going through the roof as the half-life of radiation of plutonium and uranium that was allegedly dropped by the two, Little Boy and Fat Boy and Little whatever they want, the other one name. It's all just a charade. It's always a lie. So getting back, the Jesuits who were previously banished from Japan. All right, I read that already. Sorry. The Jesuits were involved with the establishing the Romanicized communist settlements in South America known as the Jesuit Reductions, which were funded by the monarchs of Spain and Portugal. The Jesuits were paying their dues back to the Italian nobility, which angered the kings of Spain and Portugal and led to the Jesuits being banished from Europe. They were sent to Corsica, and a few decades later, Napoleon Bonaparte was born, who then made war on all the European nations that banished the Jesuits. Immediately after the Napoleonic Wars ended, the Jesuits were reestablished through the Congress of Vienna, which was under covert control by the Habsburgs and Thun and Hohenstein families, who are the Knights of Malta, along with the Italian, Austrian nobility, like the Pallavicini and Orsini-Rosenberg families. Napoleon Bonaparte wrote about how the Jesuits used him in his memoirs. Remember, he was banished off to the island off of Sicily, I believe. Jesuits are deeply involved with science and astronomy. They run major telescopes and set the policies for NASA, who reinterpret space, which caused the flat Earth deception and denial that space even exists deception. So why he uses the word deception, I emailed Zeus Revelations to ask him what he meant by this. I haven't gotten any response, but he knows about it, and would love to hear more about it, Zeus, if you can fill us in what you mean by that. So the Jesuits are dangerous liars and trained illusionists. The Jesuit priest Pierre Teilhard de Chardin developed much of the modern New Age beliefs in his book, The Phenomenon of Man. The Society of Jesus are deeply involved with the military, intelligence, politics, law, science, and religion. They are masters in deception and mind control, and they seek to dominate over every aspect in society. Royalty and their Zionist court factors. The royal and noble families of Europe have always used what are called court Jews or court factors to handle their finances and collect taxes. These court factors serve their royal courtrooms. The Jews work for the Catholics. Court Jews are also known as Court Hofjudens, and here's a YouTube I did on that if you want to get into that too. So all you that keep saying it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's not. It's way too much evidence. Buckingham Palace is a royal court. The Roman Curia is a papal court. Curia is the ancient Roman term for a court. The royalty and nobility are Christian, and they specifically use Jews most often as their money changers. Use Jews, as their money changers, and this keeps the attention off them and creates anti-Jewish movements like the Nazis and fascists. Zionism is really about monopolization of industries and wealth. So they created the anti-Semite term. Many monarchs consider the Zionist bankers unprofitable because they spend as much as they make. Their wealth is used as a pool of money while they illegally make payments to fund criminal agendas in politics and also for funding secret societies. Their large wealth masks these transactions. Princes and kings authorize bankers and control them. Zionists are secondary to the imperialists. The British Crown established modern Israel after it seized Palestine during World War I and through its migration contracts with the World Zionist Organization under British law of, quote, mandatory Palestine. The Roman Catholic King of Spain holds the official title of King of Jerusalem. The top criminal bankers are operating in Switzerland. Banking in Switzerland is private by law. The royal and noble families are concealing massive amounts of wealth in Switzerland. The Swiss Guard protects the Vatican City state today, and Swiss cantons have been in contact with the Holy See for centuries. Switzerland is really a papal state. The Vatican and Switzerland are the only two nations on the earth that use the square-shaped flag. The Roman Curia is the papal court. The Rothschild family are vaguely mentioned as the, quote, guardians of the papal treasure in the Jewish Encyclopedia, and members of the Rothschild family have been Knights of Malta. The Rothschilds family, Roth means red and Schild means shield, family are the Vatican's bankers, and they serve the Italian nobility and House of Windsor. The various Rothschild branches appear to be related to the North Italian banking families from Venice, Florence, and Genoa. The Bardi family of Florence funded the English crown with 900,000 gold florins, and this loan was never paid back. The British Rothschilds fund the modern British crown in the same way. Evelyn de Rothschild is a British crown knight and serves the court of Buckingham Palace. Baron Jacob Rothschild is also a British court factor and a knight worth over $5 billion. Evangelical Council. The Evangelical Council consists of the top members of the Christian churches, and they oversee organized Christianity and the Conservative Party, the Republicans, through the Council for National Policy. The word Catholic by definition means, quote, universal, and most Christian leaders are serving the Pope of Rome. The different versions of Christianity create diversity for the Roman Church to operate through. The leader of the Evangelical Council is Billy Graham, who has advised Dwight Eisenhower, Lyndon Johnson, and Richard Nixon, and met with the most U.S. presidents since Harry Truman, including Bush and Obama. The Council for National Policy is a conservative think tank consisting of wealthy and influential members of the Conservative Party, and they tend to be all Christian. It was funded by the Christian leaders and organizations like the Unification Church. Bush, Cheney, Mitt Romney have all spoke at the Council for National Policy. Members of the CNP have included Nelson Bunker Hunt, Rumsfeld, Gene Kirkpatrick, Paul Weyrich, Phyllis Schlafly, and Pat Robertson as former president of the CNP, who is an evangelical pastor and the founder of the Christian Broadcasting Network and the Christian Coalition of America. Pat Robertson is another top member of Rome's Evangelical Council. Tim Leahy was a founder of the CNP and evangelical pastor who wrote the Left Behind series. The CNP manages the Conservative Party for Rome while hiding behind religion as its shield. There is no separation between church and state when religious and political leaders gather together and conspire to use their wealth and influences to control the outcome of politics and policies. The Evangelical Council consists of mega churches. You can read that. I'm not going to get into that. But here part. Marcus Lamb is another multi-millionaire member of the Evangelical Church, and he is co-founder, president, and CEO of Daystar Television Network. Maurice Hudson is a hidden member of the Evangelical Council and is the father of Kate Perry. Christianity is a way to become wealthy for these evangelical preachers. Not only do they make a very good living by selling Christianity, they also use their wealth to maintain dominance over society. At the highest levels of the Evangelical Council, they work with Rome and its intelligence networks, which gather information on those black nobility declared as heretics. Rome then uses this council to determine where heretics get crucified, and they use their wealth to fund this persecution in what they call crucifixions. All right. Now this is a thorn cross that was sent by Pope Pius IX for the Civil War to the South, to the General Jefferson Davis, who was supporting the Pope, and Rome and the Jesuits were backing the South in the Civil War to create friction. They also contributed in the North as well, but they sent him a thorny crown to wear. They work with Freemasons. These crucifixions consist of organized gang stalking, cyber stalking, slander, frame jobs, poisoning, and electronic torture through electromagnetic weaponry. Electronic torture is their modern-day crown of thorns. They are authorizing and ordering the deaths and torture of people they have declared as heretics. The Evangelical Council uses Roman canon law for their persecutions. They also work with the Supreme Court justices who are trained in either British Talmudic law or Roman canon law. A little sidebar here, just my opinion. I believe that why the world is approving medical marijuana now is because marijuana does not allow mind control as readily and easily as those that don't consume the herbal medicine. So they're coming out with Monsanto and GW Pharmaceuticals and making it legal, and they're going to tweak with it so the higher consciousness, higher vibrational frequencies are not given when people smoke their Kmart cannabis, we're calling it. And that's just my opinion, but I was trying to figure out why they're rolling out medical marijuana all around the world all at once and when it was illegal for so long. All right, so there's a term Zeus Revelations come up with, the Illuminati. It's a great term. So here you see Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope in 600 years, and his partner, I forget his name. He's not the Superior General Black Pope now. But there's a lot of stories going around that Pope Francis is the Black Pope now. Generally, the Black Pope is a few degrees higher than the white Pope that you see, but you can see the black and white here, and that's what we want to get into. So the secret societies are divided into two factions known as the Illuminati and the occult. The Illuminati are the false light pyramid, and they run the Republican Party, while the occult are the false dark pyramid that runs the Democratic Party. These two pyramids are merged together to form a hexagram. A hexagram is two pyramids converged. You'll see that on the flag of Israel, an upside down pyramid and a right side up pyramid. Blue is used for Democrats to this is me talking. Blue is used for Democrats to represent compassion and caring for all and the luminary Venus. Red for Republican is Mars the warrior, competition, capitalism, and self-enrichment. This is why you get to choose only between your daddy the red or mommy the blue to who will be your nanny. We live in a nanny state, folks, and that's why they use blue and red. They call their artificial duality Zion. Illuminati are more connected with Lucifer, while the occult are more connected with Satan. The color white is connected with the Illuminati, and the color black is connected with the occult. Freemasons use black and white checkerboard pattern as a symbol for their belief systems. The black and white checkerboard is also connected with the Gulf and Ghibelline factions in the royal and noble families. Excuse the mispronunciation. Many royal palaces use checkerboard floors, and some black nobility use the checkerboard on their coat of arms. The Pope wears a white robe, and the Jesuit general wears a black robe, and they are the top priests of the Roman Catholic Church. And here I believe you see a wedding here and in the British royalty, and they got the black and white floors here. It's right there, folks. I call those who are initiated into both factions the Illusionati. They manipulate both sides and use illusions to make it seem as if they are in control. Full initiates often choose a side as a cover while they meddle in both sides. Most of their power is based on illusions and trickery. They want to be perceived as if they are in full control and all-powerful, but they are not. They carry out most of their lawlessness like their persecutions covertly because they are terrified of being exposed. They fear exposure because they are not really in control, and if people realize this, it will bring about an end. This is why we have to speak out at all costs, folks. They play on ignorance and use distractions to keep attention off themselves. This is the bread and circuses from the old Roman days. Sports and fed and happy and keep the TV going and all the social media devices, and they can get away with anything. They are criminals and their wickedness is covert. The word government means control the mind. Govern means to rule. Ment is for mental. They use corporate institutions to claim ownership over the land and then attempt to dictate thoughts and public opinion into society through media and education. These people are all criminals. They are not to be taken lightly. Their motive is world dominance and full-scale control. If they could, they would find a way to control every thought that a person has. They are a threat to humanity and must be dealt with. The best way to deal with them is to take back the system and install freedom. Good luck with that. Freemasonic Luciferian persecutors. Luciferianism is Satanism masked in the false light of superficiality and religion. Freemasons are known for worshiping Lucifer, and most Freemasons are self-identified Christians. Luciferians dress in nice clothes, they speak proper, they drive really nice cars, and then they condemn others for their superficial reasons. They covertly condemn the poor and sick as sinners and claim they are being punished by God. Freemasons are involved in the covert persecution against those who oppose their ways and control. Freemasons are also created other types of secret societies which they use to do their dirty work. Freemasons get paid to gang stalk and persecute people all over the United States. This is touchless torture, as this clip above. I hope you click on it and you look at the touchless torture videos I did on what they're capable of and what they're doing to innocent people. They cyberstalk their victims. They gang stalk and mentally terrorize their victims wirelessly. They are involved with using electronic weapons on people. Electromagnetic pulse weapons do exist, and they're even sold online. Their persecution often leads to deaths, mental breakdowns, hospitalization, and prison for the victims. Many Freemasons and members of secret societies are involved in computer hacking as well. The top Luciferian Freemasons inside the United States is a man by the name of Stephen James DeShawn, and his last known residence is in Linwood, Michigan. These secret societies are being funded by the Vatican and royal families through the offshore accounts, PayPal, and private Swiss banking. I could not find anything on Stephen James DeShawn, so you researchers out there, let's see if you can find anything and shoot it to me or put it in the comments. Freemasons are builders. The word Mason means builder. They build mind control programs in society. They build lies and false teachings and impose them in society. They get paid to lie and manipulate people. They are funded and directed by the black nobility and royal bloodlines. They are paid actors that hijack society and orchestrate theater in the media and politics. They create orchestrated attempts as an attempt to draw people in. They hijack real movements and then subvert them. The alternative media is run by Freemasons who pretend to be opposed to the New World Order while all they do is subvert and corrupt the movements against corruption. Most of the founding fathers in America were Freemasons and Crown agents that hijacked the revolution against the British Crown. They then turned the Virginia Company into the United States. The Freemasonic motto is, quote, Ordo ab Chaos, or order out of chaos. This is on the dollar bill on the back. They cause chaos and then, no, I'm sorry, this isn't on the dollar bill. I was thinking of something else. They then turned the Virginia Company into the United States. The Freemasonic motto is Ordo ab Chaos, or order out of chaos. They cause chaos and they use the conflict to install their order as a form of problem, reaction, solution. 9/11 is a great example of that. The Scottish Rite Freemasons and Prince Hall Freemasons have staged numerous racial crimes involving white cops and black men to incite racial division. This is the hashtag Black Lives Matter I think he's referring to. My comment, Prince Hall is the black Freemason cult, and you can see a picture here of Shaq O'Neal with his Freemason brothers. The Freemasons are criminals involved with a multitude of crimes, including terrorism, persecution, treason, spreading dangerous lies, human trafficking, and the trafficking of human blood. Freemasonry is a dangerous organized crime syndicate. I'll list in the show notes here all the different Freemason secret societies that few of you have ever heard of. International Secret Intelligence Services, or ISIS, okay? So it's the classic double op. They blame ISIS while ISIS is the intelligent arm of the Illuminati. Who are we talking about, the good guy or the bad guy? Osama bin Laden, Joe Biden, Hussein, Barack. Which one is it, guys? The good guy or the bad guy? So M16 is also called Secret Intelligence Services, created and controls the ISIS programs, which is really international secret intelligence service with intelligence agencies all around the world involved, like the CIA, Mossad, GIT of Saudi Arabia, include the NSA in there and all the other alphabet spook agencies. And I highly suggest a book called The Entity. I forget its author, but it describes all this of how the Vatican controls all the intelligence services. The British Crown established the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia through the Treaty of Jeddah. All the heads of M16 are knighted by the British Crown because they serve the British royal family. M16 is leading this operation and involved with staging terrorist attacks. See the 7/7 attacks in the subways of London. The Belgian royal family were exposed for their tax schemes on the United States, so M16 staged the Brussels bombings as an excuse to increase security for the Belgian royal family and their corrupt bankers. The Treaty of London established the Kingdom of Belgium and appointed the House of Windsor's cousins, the Saxe-Coburg and Gotha family, as the head of Belgium. The 1871 District of Columbia Organic Act established Washington, D.C. Very, very, very few people in the United States can tell you this fact. It was February 23rd, 1871, when they created the Corporation of USA, capital letters. That's when they put us all on our ships. Relationship, partnership, ownership, citizenship. And we go into court on a docket and then we meet the bailiff. Our money system's all based on water too. We were based on currency. We have our deposit slips. We have our cash flows, liquid assets, frozen assets. What's the name of the Vatican? Other name for the Vatican is called the Holy See. We're all under Admiralty law and our fictitious strawman characters. All right, so the Bank of International Settlement in Basel, Switzerland is in contract with the U.S. Federal Reserve and most central banks around the world through fraudulent tax contracts like the Belgium Scheldt dues and siphons off wealth. So why do you send your tax returns to one place and your tax check to another? Because it goes to offshore accounts, I think through Puerto Rico, where the corporate papers are headquartered there, and they steal our money, folks. You work all your life and they steal all our money. That's how they work it. The money is then transferred and laundered into private Swiss bank accounts. Prince Lorenz of Belgium is married into the Belgian royal family and has worked as a banker in Rome, Paris, and London. Prince Lorenz is a managing partner for Gutzweiler Bank in Basel, Switzerland, right near the BIS, and he is managing the private accounts for the royal and noble families of Europe who are stealing from central banks. Once this was all exposed, M16 staged the ISIS bombings in Brussels as a reason to increase security for the royal family. The House of Windsor are controlling M16. One other side note about Switzerland, it was not invaded during World War I and II. As I said, holds all their secret bank accounts. The Bank of International Settlements, where all the banks clear through. The Rothschilds live there, who are the bankers and treasurers for the Vatican. Switzerland and Vatican are joined at the hip. And then we have these lovely people, the Windsor family of hell. And here you see Mr. Prince Pedophile Charles with his Knights of Malta logo on the cover here, everybody in their red and black outfits. The House of Windsor are one of the most wicked and satanic bloodlines. They are involved with human sacrifices, mind control, satanic ritual abuse, cannibalism, drinking blood, bathing in blood, human trafficking, opium trafficking, terrorism, money laundering, and war profiteering. Prince Charles openly claims to descend from Vlad Dracul, or Vlad the Impaler, Dracula, and he owns Vlad the Impaler's old estate in Transylvania. Vlad Dracul was known for being sadistic and tormenting his victims. Dracul means dragon, and the Dracul family were members of the Order of the Dragon. Vlad Dracul was the Prince of Wallachia. Now, I did a piece here, I hope you can click on and look, that all presidents have the same negative blood types. This is how they pass on their genes in the royal families. All of the presidents have the same blood types, going back to, drumroll please, Dracula or Vlad Dracul. This is how far back this stuff goes. Prince Charles is the Prince of Wales. Wales gets its name from Walla. Wales also used a red dragon on his flag. The Transylvania nobility covertly settled in Scotland. Queen Elizabeth II takes her name from Dracul's cousins, the Bathory family, and Elizabeth Bathory, who is a serial killer known as, quote, Blood Countess, and reports claim that she bathed in the blood of hundreds of young women. Lovely. The House of Windsor runs the Order of the Bath, which really takes its name after the Bathory family. They covertly continue their ancestors' blood rituals of bathing in blood, and they wear blood-red capes during their public ceremonies. Now here's a real scumbag, Jimmy Savile, best buddies with Prince Charles, and was accused of hundreds of times of pedophilia and sexual abuse. Jimmy Savile was a Knight of British Empire and a Vatican Knight of the Order of St. Gregory, because he was serving the crown in the Vatican with his pedophile abuse. Canada is a crown colony, and throughout the past century, there are many official reports of missing Aboriginal children that were taken from their parents and forced into crown schools and crown wards or orphanages. Missing children is acknowledged in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. This is a story that needs to get out, where they had them in schools and they just took all these indigenous natives up in Canada and used them for child pedophilia and satanic rituals, folks. The House of Windsor have a harp on their coat of arms. The harp was used for bewitching minds in ancient times. They have authority over the United States Air Force's HAARP, which is radiating the atmosphere with electromagnetic waves and is used for mass mind control and weather manipulation. HAARP is named in reference to the harp and its use in ancient mind control. Wind soars like wind and tornadoes. The House of Windsor are funding and running satanic cults in the United Kingdom and the United States, and these cults are involved in mind control, satanic ritual abuse, and human sacrifice. Here you see the harp right here, folks. The Windsor family also manages the Skull and Bones secret society at Yale, where the Bushes belong to, the 322 Society. Yale was established under the British Crown's authority and through a crown colony. Skull and Bones is a military council and death cult in the United States with the Bush family as top members. And here you see the U.S. military guarding the poppy fields. When the Taliban in 2000 ran Afghanistan, opium sales were zero. Now it's 97% of all opium, and that's why we're seeing the opioid explosion of sick people, of heroin addicts in the United States. George Herbert Walker Bush is a British Knight of Order of the Bath and serves the Windsor family. Gulf War, Afghanistan War, and Iraq War occurred under the Bush family. The Windsor and Bush families are controlling the opium production in Afghanistan, which produces the majority of the world's opium since the U.S. invasion. Their opium operation is a continuation of the British Crown's East India Company, which controlled the opium trade. And a sidebar, please Google East Indian Company flag and Google United States flag, and you'll see they're almost nearly identical. But the story was that it was the East Indian Tea Company that we threw the tea into, and that started the whole American Revolution. Another fantasy story sold to us. They currently sell it to pharmaceutical companies, and the rest is handed to the Italian mafia, who cut on the heroin and have it distributed in the streets. Opium is a strong depressant and is being used to weaken society as they attempt power grabs. The British Crown attempted to do this to China, which led to them seizing Hong Kong when the emperor banned opium. Sidebar here, G.W. Bush was named Poppy Bush for running the drug opium trade for the CIA. Prince Charles is covertly controlling the Hells Angels motorcycle syndicate. Many members of the Hells Angels are descendants of Irish and Scottish clans. The Hells Angels are established themselves in the United Kingdom after the Beatles invited them. The Hells Angels also set up charters in New Zealand and Canada, which are nations ruled by the House of Windsor. Prince Charles is the head of the Cult of Hell, and the Hells Angels are his minions. They are known for blowing up their enemies. The Hells Angels also have infiltrated the trucking industry and work with their organized crime groups in trafficking weapons, drugs, and human beings. They're also members of the secret society, the Hellfire Club. Tavistock Institute. The Tavistock Institute, which was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, is a research program involved in human behavior, social sciences, and psychology. Today, the Tavistock Institute is covertly involved with social networking sites, alternative media, and conspiracy forums. The United States Air Force and the Advanced Defense programs for the military run covert op programs on the internet using research developed from the Tavistock Institute and Tavistock Clinic. Their goal is mass manipulation of society through social networking and psychological torture on those researching, quote, conspiracy or the criminality of those in power. The word, quote, conspiracy theorist is a term that these criminals created as a form of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, to automatically discredit those that research or investigate criminality. The Tavistock Clinic is stationed in London and is directly involved with the British government. The United States Department of Defense and intelligence agencies are infiltrated by British Crown Knights and Freemasons serving the British Crown. To even mention the word, quote, Tavistock on a conspiracy site will get you banned almost immediately. All major, quote, alternative media outlets are part of the FBI's COINTELPRO operation or similar agencies and programs intended to infiltrate political organizations in order to disrupt, subvert, and radicalize them. They operate as fishing nets, drawing in opposition. I'm going to do a video about that, what's going on at the UC campuses here in California with Janet Napolitano and Governor Brown, how they're setting up the Antifa movement. Going on. The legitimate opposition that they cannot manipulate are targeted and persecuted. The government works with privatized organizations like Stratfor Intelligence, which gather information on the legitimate opposition. These groups are then connected with secret societies who covertly carry out persecution for cash payments. Secret societies use criminal-style initiations to incorporate its members so they can blackmail their members if they try to turn against them. Secret societies are organized crime syndicates and include Jesuits, Freemasons, Knights of Columbus, fraternities, sororities, and they work with less organized and official groups like Wiccan cults and New Age cults. Organized religion is also involved in Christian churches and especially the Church of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormons. All right, so I'm going to conclude that now. It looks like we're going to have 4 parts to this, and then I'm going to put it right here after this, the secret societies, and then the list of a lot of people you know in power and politics that are members of Knights of Malta and some of these secret societies. We'll catch you on the next one. This is A Plain Truth. Peace out.